Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today in this episode of NEET preparation, we'll be looking at previous year questions of biology and medical entrance examinations in India. Today we're dealing with another important chapter. The name of this chapter is Organisms and Populations. This is the 13th chapter in the grade 12 syllabus for biology in CBSE. So, without further ado, let's begin with our first question for this episode. Territoriality occurs as a result of option A, competition, option B, parasitism, option C, predation, option D, cooperation. So what exactly do you mean by the word territoriality? Well, the term territoriality actually means fighting between two members of a species over territory, or in simpler terms, living space. So you need access to food, water, and a good shelter, etc. So you need living space, and animals fight over that. So this is done by animals in order to ensure, so it ensures availability of the above mentioned resources like food, water, shelter, etc. So if you look at our four options, these are various interactions between organisms. So if you look at option D is cooperation. Another name for cooperation is mutualism. So in mutualism, you have two different species. They work with each other and become part of something that's very good. So mutualism does not necessarily involve fighting. So fighting does not take place in mutualism. So option D is incorrect. If you look at option C, in option C, the term that we use is predation. So in predation, one organism consumes another for survival. So in this case, the other organism is actually the resource. So therefore, there isn't no fighting involved for resources when it comes to predation. So the two species which are involved in predation aren't necessarily fighting with each other for getting resources. One of them hunts the other because the other organism is its resource for food. If you look at option B, parasitism, so in parasitism, one organism lives on another, and they do that by stealing food and nutrition from the other organism. So here there basically is no fighting. One organism exploits another and lives with it and gets away with it. So option B, parasitism, is also incorrect. The right answer is option A, competition. So in competition, two members of the same species or two dissimilar species fight over territory and securing the same resource. For example, goats fight with Galapagos turtles in order for the best sites for grass. So that's an example for competition. So territoriality occurs as a result of option A, competition. Let's look at the next question. Obligate parasites live on. Option A, living host only. Option B, living host in dead organic matter. Option C, dead organic matter only. Option D, artificial liquid media. So let's look at the four options. Option D, artificial liquid medium. This occurs when you have processes such as tissue culture to rear plants or animals. So in an artificial liquid medium, there is basically no parasitism. The medium was designed for the organism in mind. So option D is incorrect. If you look at options B and C, they say dead organic matter. So dead organic matter is found in a group of organisms which we refer to as saprotrophs, such as fungi and other scavengers. So options B and C are incorrect. The right answer is option A, living host only. Now you might think, why doesn't option B qualify as correct? Because the organisms in question are obligate parasites. So the term obligate means mandatorily. So, and you know what a parasite is, right? A parasite is an organism which lives on another organism for its survival. So if you are an obligate parasite, it means that you must live on another living host in order to survive. So that's why option A, living host only, is the correct option. Let's look at this question. Mycorrhiza help in absorption of option A, calcium, option B, nutrients, option C, metals, option D, none of these. So what exactly are mycorrhiza? Well, mycorrhiza is the name given to associations between plant roots and fungi. So the fungi in mycorrhiza act as an extension of the root for absorption. So what is the function of a root? The function of a root is to absorb nutrients and water. So mycorrhiza helps in absorption of option B, nutrients. Now remember that option A, calcium, and option C, metals, are a part of option B, nutrients, but mentioning them specifically would make the others excluded, so options A and C are incorrect. Option D, none of these is also wrong because option B, nutrients, is correct. So for this question, option B is an option that we call most appropriate. So if you have some confusion with respect to which option is correct, then you should go for the second criteria, that is most appropriate. So according to the question, the most appropriate option is option B, nutrients. Mycorrhiza are association between plant roots and fungi. Fungi help in extension of root. That means it helps the root to absorb nutrients. Let's look at the next question. The plants which can withstand narrow range of temperature tolerance are called A, stenothermal, B, euthermal, C, mesothermal, D, monothermal. If you look at the following options, option D, monothermal, means surviving at only one temperature, which is realistically not possible. So option D is incorrect. Now, if you look at option C, mesothermal means these are plants living in temperate zones. So if you have ever visited a broad-leaved tree, then you would know that the broad-leaved tree is a mesothermal tree because it lives in a temperate climate, a temperate zone. And over here, the question is withstand narrow range of temperature. They didn't tell you which range of temperature is it. So it could be very hot, the narrow range, or it could be very cold. So therefore option C, mesothermal, is incorrect. Now let's look at option B, euthermal. The term euthermal is used for organisms living in a wide range of temperatures. So therefore euthermal is the total opposite of narrow range of temperatures. So option B, euthermal, is incorrect. The right answer is option A, stenothermal. So stenothermal is the term given to plants which can withstand only a narrow range of temperature. Let's look at this question. Abundance of species in a population within a habitat is called niche density, absolute density, relative density, geographic density. Again, let's look at the following options. Option D is geographic density. So that means the density of organisms, which let's just write it as ORGS for simplifying time. So density of organisms in a particular, in a geographic area. So over here, geographic density cannot be completely used for this scenario because the geographic area may range from, say, a plot of land beside you, or it could range the whole continent that you're living in. So therefore, geographic density is not specific for a particular habitat, or it is not specific for habitat level diversity. So option D, geographic density, is not correct. You can call it incorrect, but it's not the correct option. The most appropriate option is something else. Let's look at option C, relative density. So what is relative density? Relative density is defined as the density of one species expressed as a percentage of total species diversity. So option C, relative density, does not fit the definition given in the question, so it is incorrect. Now let's look at option B, absolute density. The term absolute density refers to the density of a single organism in a given area. So in this option, the important thing is that it must be for a single organism and it must be expressed in numbers, so say 100 out of 1,000 or something like that. So absolute density refers to the number of organisms living in a particular area. So it's the number of organisms of a particular species divided by the total area they live in. So option B for this question is also incorrect because the given area may vary. It can range from the plot beside you to an entire continent, for instance. So the right answer is option A, niche density. Another term for habitat is what we call niche. So abundance of species in a population within a habitat is called niche density. So in a niche, an organism which is living in a particular habitat is performing a particular function. That's what we call a niche. So for example, woodpeckers and aye-ayes, so woodpeckers in America and aye-ayes in Africa, they perform the same function in a similar habitat, so therefore they colonize the same niche. And that's why we use niche density to describe the abundance of a species in a population within a habitat. Note the geographical area is a habitat. So that's why option A, niche density, is the most appropriate option here. Option D is incorrect because the geographical area is not defined. Let's look at this question. This is the next question, the maintenance of internal favorable conditions by a self-regulated mechanism in spite of the fact that there are changes in the environment is known as option A, entropy, option B, enthalpy, option C, homeostasis, option D, steady state. Now let's look at our following options. The first option is option A, entropy. Now if you've had a background in chemistry and biology, you would know that options A and B can be considered incorrect because both entropy and enthalpy are found in chemistry. But for the benefit of our viewers, entropy is the measuring of the randomness of a system, and the enthalpy refers to the measure of the internal energy of a system. So therefore options A and B are incorrect. Now what about options C and D? Which of these is correct? So the maintenance of internal favorable conditions by a self-regulated mechanism in spite of the fact that there are changes in the environment can be called as a steady state. So option D seems to be correct. But if you look at the definition for a steady state, it means a state that does not change in broad amount, that's AMT, of time. So having a steady state does not basically talk about self-regulation, so therefore option D is not appropriate. The most appropriate option is option C, homeostasis. The definition of homeostasis is the maintenance of internal favorable conditions by a self-regulated mechanism in spite of the fact that there are changes in the external environment. So this question is the definition for homeostasis. Now remember, homeostasis is the maintenance of a steady state by regulating yourself in an organism. So that's the definition for homeostasis. So remember, homeostasis involves maintenance of a steady state, but the term steady state does not refer to self-regulated mechanisms. So option D is incorrect, while option C, homeostasis, is the correct option. Now we have the final question of this episode. July 11 is observed as. The 4 days given are World Population Day, No Tobacco Day, World Environment Day, World Health Day. So from an initial scan, you can already remove option C, World Environment Day, because the date falls on June the 5th. So everybody knows that June 5 is celebrated as World Environment Day. For those of you who don't know, then you can always go to our channel and watch our video on World Environment Day for the year 2020, where we were talking about World Environment Day in general and 2020 in particular. So the next option that we're going to tackle is option D, World Health Day. So when is World Health Day observed on? Well, you have Google with you, so you can just search it for now, not for the exam. So for now, you can search it and you'll get the answer that World Health Day is celebrated on the 7th of April every year. So option D is incorrect. If you look at option B, No Tobacco Day, World No Tobacco Day, once again from Google, you can get the answer as May 31 and not July 11. So option B is incorrect. So the right answer is option A, World Population Day. So World Population Day is the day that we observe on July the 11th every year. So that is the correct answer. The other days are celebrated on different dates, so it is not correct. So again, here we're talking about days observed by the United Nations, so world days. So if July 11 is Population Day in your country or state, then that does not. I mean, if Environment Day was celebrated in July 11 in your state or country, then it will not be correct because it's talking about a universally accepted date. So universally, July 11 is celebrated as World Population Day. So that's all, folks, from this episode of NEET Preparation. In order to get more of our playlist, you can always hit the link in the description down below. Again, if you want to access more of our useful and interesting content, such as mind maps, memory hacks, JEE Main, CBSE board exam, etc., you can always subscribe to our channel, which is Brain Blitz Audios. You can hit the notification button in the description, near the description, so that you can get updates about our latest content. So until the next webisode, take care, stay healthy, stay safe, bye-bye for now.